WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users.
This is
Soulful Inspiration.
It's your girl, Nikki Jones. This will be an hour to feed your soul with music and laughter, information and inspiration. You're listening to WVTC
Detroit.
All designed with you in mind. So sit back, relax, and get ready to join the conversation with me,
Nikki Jones.
Soulful.
Soulful Inspiration.
Inspirations. Yes, sir. Welcome to Soulful Inspirations. I am your girl, Nikki Jones. So excited to be with you tonight. We are back in the studio, and it is a beautiful Tuesday in the neighborhood. Hello, we are finally excited about summer, spring, whatever you want to call it. It is here in Detroit. Y'all know how Detroit weather is. Hello, we are excited to be here tonight. It's a beautiful day, and today we have a wonderful guest with us, and we have some friends in the studio with us tonight. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. You don't want to miss it. You are listening to us on WVTC Detroit, and this is the Stellar Award-winning station, and we are looking forward to the next Stellar. Hello, and we are excited about it. Listen, we are talking about church hurt still, okay? We really want to continue this conversation. Why? Because so many people are impacted by church hurt, and we want these people to be healed. We want people to be free from this, and it's just something that we really want to open up in terms of dialogue and making sure that people understand what it is, and making sure people understand that they have options. Listen, you're not responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for what you do about it, okay? Your response is your business. Hello. All right, so here to my right, we have the wonderful Tamara Fontaine Hardy. Yes. Hey, honey.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great.
You're great?
I'm pretty good.
I'm pretty good too. You're
Yeah.
looking all right, looking refreshed.
Yeah, I spent the weekend at the beach. So, something about beach, something about the sand.
Get into the microphone.
Something about the sand.
Yes.
It does something to my spirit.
Yes, your spirit.
That water.
Yeah.
Time stops when you're sitting on the beach.
I think that's beautiful.
It does stop, and you get relaxed. And because there's no Wi-Fi, you have to put down your phone.
Yes.
And you have to relax.
That's a good thing.
So
yes.
It was good.
All right.
Good for me to be near the water.
Yes. Something about that water.
Something about that water.
About that water. Yes.
So I feel good.
We also have with us my girl, the wonderful, the beautiful Michelle Johnson. Say hello, honey.
Hi.
Hello. Hello,
How
good
you
people.
doing?
Hey, y'all.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty fair for a Tuesday after the holiday. So,
yes.
yeah,
Did
I'm
you
happy
eat
to
barbecue?
be here. Well, I ate some.
Okay. Well, amen. Praise God. Praise God. So before we introduce our guest on tonight, we're going to play a song. This song is wonderful. I think it's beautiful. It's called Press On, and it's about pressing through. Since we're talking about church hurt, we're talking about pressing through or pressing on towards the mark of the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Hallelujah. Yes, Lord. Let's listen to Press On.
Just press on.
Lord, this just ain't working. I've been faithfully searching, trying to do the right thing, but everything that's right seems to keep on leading right back to the same thing. Hold on, all of this complaining just ain't worth it. Even though you're feeling down and worthless, baby, when you're down to nothing, God is up to something. Trusting Him, His will is perfect. Yeah, I just don't understand.
What is the reason?
He's
on.
That was nice. I
You like
enjoyed
that?
Yes, I did.
What's up there now? Look, that was me before I got married. Yes, that was me. That's why you saw Nikki Thomas, not Nikki Jones.
Yes.
Yes, that was press on. Listen, at the end of that song, I said, my toe hurt, but I'm pressing Jesus. That part. I say that in the studio. We were cracking up. It was hilarious. But yeah, that was me saying my toe
love
hurt, but I'm
that.
pressing.
All right. You know, you
Listen.
got to press when your feet hurt.
Girl, especially your pinky toe. When your pinky toe hurt,
Everything.
everything in your body. It's like having a toothache. It's ridiculous. Listen, we want you to like and share and subscribe. What? Yes, like and share and subscribe. If you're watching, if you're listening on Facebook or on YouTube, we want you to do that. Why? So you know every time our show comes on, every time there's something going on WVTC Detroit, you will be notified. Why? Because you want to know. You want to be in the know. We got so much going on WVTC, so many good things, so many great shows. And so please like, share, and subscribe. Tonight, though, is a great conversation. And we have a wonderful guest tonight. I'm so excited about this person. He's got a lot going on, and I'm going to read his bio, and you'll know when I read his bio how much he got going on. He's a great guy, though. Listen, Dr. Zebb Talley III is a life and career coach, millennial and generational studies researcher, personal and professional development consultant, and fan of old-fashioned communication. How about that?
I like that.
That by itself is enough.
Yes.
Right. He has partnered with and directly supported several Fortune 100 and 500 companies in a variety of capacities like recruitment and retention, corporate staffing, student and staff development, and leadership training. He is a certified coach with a double bachelor's degree in business administration and secondary education from Radford University. He has a master's, yes, girl, a master's and a PhD. He has a master's in adult education and a PhD in leadership studies from North Carolina A&T. He's a published author of several books and primarily functions as a dynamic and energetic leader, teacher, author, speaker, thinker, and motivational coach who applies practical instruction to complex concepts to help others find meaning in their lives. From relationship, career, or spiritual advice to challenging the ways in which organizations and individuals think to impact results, he has a gift that will make it make sense.
You know what? That's awesome.
That is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, make it make sense. I
Make
always
it
say
make
that.
sense. Hello.
Yeah.
Please welcome to our platform, Dr. Zebb Talley III. How are you, sir? Yay! Claps.
Doing well. Thank you so much. I'm embarrassed, but I'm doing well.
What are you embarrassed about?
Bios are always very challenging to hear sometimes.
Oh,
Praise
it's
the
humbling
Lord.
for you.
Yeah, it is. It's sometimes
You
write things we
accomplished a
don't quite
lot.
live up to. Well, sometimes we write things we don't quite live up to. We're trying. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Before we get into talking about church hurt in general, I just want you to just kind of expound on who you are and your journey and how you've come to be right where you are today.
Well, I'm honored again to be here with you ladies and thankful for the opportunity that's provided on this platform. Really not much to add. Third generation pastor. I did not include that in the bio. It's funny how COVID really shifted a lot of things for a lot of people. We were planning to go back in the building last year and had an inspection done, and they found asbestos in our building.
Wow.
Wow.
We had to vacate it, and our ministry has been virtual ever since. And so I've really utilized social media platforms to really do what Jesus told us to do, frankly, in St. Mark 14, where he said, go out to all the world and teach every person. And I know on the post side of Pentecost, where everybody was dressed in white Sunday and eating chicken, we have to remember that Pentecost was one of the most diverse experiences that ever existed. 120 people from every country across the world who were filled with God's presence and spoke a universal language and still understood their own. And it was really the prescription for how we should go about ministering in this world that we're in today. And so we're still virtual, but have been fortunate to be able to share a very practical message on a variety of different life topics to make people hopefully make sense of their lives and give it some meaning in a spiritual and hopefully a powerful way. So I'm just honored to be here tonight, and just grateful for the opportunity to have this dialogue with you all.
I love how you said that, that it is a representation of what we're supposed to be doing on Pentecost Sunday and beyond. The scripture in Matthew talks about going to the world, teaching all nations, teaching them to observe, and then Acts talked about, we got to go in Judea. We were empowered to be witnesses. We got to go to the uttermost parts of the world. And, the internet has made that possible.
No excuse. We are without excuse.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we were talking about church hurt at the last episode of My Sister, Your Sister podcast. And we had so many people talking about why they were, why they don't go to church anymore and things of that nature. And I know you are a life coach, and you have a lot of clients in terms of, personal, professional development. What has been your experience with church hurt in terms of, people who might have, come to you to get over that or to get through it?
It's been a gamut of things, to be honest with you. A lot of people, take several approaches. You have people who approach it from the standpoint of what the church did to them. Which tends to be the common thing. And then you do have those people who really personalize everything that has been offensive in a church space. In other words, when people make mistakes, they take it as a personal offense, not realizing that the person in church who offended you is there for the same reason that you're there. I remember as a little boy being taught that church was the ultimate hospital, and somehow along the way we've lost track of teaching church that way. It is the hospital, and even doctors and nurses get sick.
Yes.
Amen.
How about that?
Yes.
Which means the people who serve you also get COVID. They also get cancer, and they also get the flu, and they also get all of these things. But for some reason, the church is the place where we think people who operate in it are immune from disease. And it's not the case. And so I've always tried to take the approach with clients and people that I've worked with, members, folks that I've worked with, to say that the person that you're going to get assistance from in a building is susceptible to the same diseases and problems you have. And in order to really receive grace, we've got to be willing to extend grace. This does not excuse the behavior of people, but rather it shifts the perspective on where we place blame.
Yes, sir.
I think people really struggle with that. And that's always been my approach. Not what people, you said it beautifully in your introduction, not what people do to you, but really how we respond to what sick people do who are in the same condition and position that we're in.
Amen.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, that's real. It's difficult. I know people talk about, their own pain. One of the things that I reposted from your reels is one of your words on Wednesday was listening. And you talked about how, when somebody was saying something to you about mayonnaise, you just kind of shut that conversation down in your mind. You were still hearing them, but in your mind, you shut the conversation down because they mentioned mayonnaise and you hate mayonnaise. So whatever they said after that, it was like, I'm not hearing it. And a lot of times that's what people do, is when you say something, it triggers something in you, you shut the whole conversation down as opposed to being able to hear. Can you expound on that when you were talking about listening?
Absolutely. You said the word trigger that we were going to go into. It trigger, like trauma, are words that I respect, but they are misused. They are overused.
Help us now.
Yeah, talk about that.
They are. A trigger is not only a reflection of something that agitates past pain, a trigger is also a reflection of an area that needs to be healed. That's the other side of this we don't talk about it. So if I hear the word mayonnaise and it triggers me, which I hate mayonnaise, ranch. I don't know what's wrong with me. Ranch, mayonnaise.
Oh, ranch. Oh, you said ranch. You said you hate ranch.
Wait, he said ranch. He said R-A.
I don't like none of it. I don't like none of
Anything
it.
creamy like that. Yeah,
I don't like none of it. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't like none of it. My folks can't explain it. I don't know. Not even Miracle Whip.
I understand. I'm there.
Okay, what about Miracle Whip though? What about Miracle Whip?
Somebody hit me with Brother Larry said, Doc, Miracle Whip is there. It's all the same. I don't like none of it.
Mayonnaise, Miracle Whip, all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Light and creamy.
When we hear it, we say, oh, that triggers the fact that we don't like mayonnaise. But what the trigger is really telling you is not how you are offended. The trigger is reminding you that you still need to grow. And that's the self-empowerment piece of this that I really want people to understand. Because when triggers occur, they don't happen for pain to be glorified. They happen for pain to be exposed and uncovered so it can be healed.
That's good.
When you take that approach, then the approach shifts from, oh, they hurt me, or they triggered me, or they exposed how I was hurt in the past, to this is a reminder that I still have some work to do. Right? This is a reminder that I can't allow offense to happen. And then when something looks like something from the past, I completely shut down because it feels like something to the past. Instead, I've got to be open. Pot calling the kettle black. I've got to be open to possibly seeing this ranch.
You brought that right on home back to yourself.
Right.
That was a horrible example. Seeing this ranch on my salad and maybe giving myself a chance to grow through it.
But when you bringing that back to, because I've run into individuals who they've had this experience because of their different mental models or because of a triggering word, and because they've experienced this trauma, they become victimized by it. And then they walk around with a victim mentality so that they can't even understand or hear the fact that they don't get it. They don't see it. They don't know that they're walking around and they're using this to continually stay in a victimized mentality, to have that mentality. How do you pull someone, or how do you help transition someone from being the victim to being the victor? Because that's what I hear you saying, is that we're carrying around, or they're carrying around this victimized attitude that is, listen, every time they hear a word or every time they feel something or see something, they're triggered again.
No, I think that's a powerful question. I think we need to think about the word victim and ask ourselves, what does that word really mean? Right? So victim is typically a person who's been hurt, who's been killed, maybe been injured, maimed, as a result of either a crime or some other intentional or unintentional act that was caused by somebody else. Victims are people who experience things as the result of somebody else's behavior. So even using the term victim, right? Because I think the way you worded that was beautiful. When we allow ourselves to be victims of trauma, we are saying that we have given the power of offense over to somebody else. You're already operating in a deficit. And
of your own power.
Absolutely, because long before we dive into and work through what someone did to you, we've got to understand why we have given people that much power.
That's good.
Church is one of those places where we tend to give away power. When people don't speak to us, it throws us off for the rest of the service. When people say something to offend us, the usher, which ushers can either be really nice or really mean, depending on where you go to church.
Listen,
ushers do whatever to offend us, then we really wear that on us. But we've got to ask ourselves, what's more offensive? What they did, or the fact that we gave them the power to influence how we feel?
Ooh.
Ooh.
So that's so you were speaking, Dr. Zebb, and it made me think about the asset-based mindset versus a
Yes.
deficit-based mindset.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
think when you go into church, we come in 9 times out of 10. I speak for myself, deficit,
You're
right?
right.
Like I feel like, oh, I'm on my
Yes.
last rope,
It's a
got
fact.
a tie knot,
That's
the
a fact.
panorama. I call the pandemic the panorama. The panorama did a number on me. I'm gonna go to church
Mm-hmm.
and get right. But I think where in that space, I think oftentimes when we walk into church, and even as I walk into church, they're preaching about hell and brimstone, and nobody is really sharing their testimony
Mhm.
to ground all that and talk about how they changed their mindset, how they became more mindful, how they have turned around the deficit to an asset base. I still have talents. I still have gifts. I still have intellect that I can give
Mm-hmm.
the kingdom, for the use of the kingdom. And I think sometimes that gets lost in all of the religion of things, right? Like the ceremonial stuff, you got to go complete this, you got to go do that, you got to do the fasting, you got to do all this stuff, which is good. I'm not doubting that it's good, but I don't think we get to the quick enough of how do we prepare you for mindfulness? How do we get you to change your, as Tamara said, your mental mindset to be more asset based, so you can lean into your strengths as you go through your walk in this journey.
That's good.
I love that. I love that so much. You saw me looking for something to write with because I had a thought and I did not want to lose it. I had a thought and you nailed it. I think the deficit versus asset mindset is critical. And I'll be even more specific. And I hope I'm offensive, frankly, especially in the Black church.
Come on, let's do it.
Talk about it. Come on.
Disrupt
Ooh,
us.
let me get my
I'm
church fam.
It is culturally, we have culturally ingrained in the Black church a deficit mindset, and part of it is not our fault. It started in slavery, right?
Come on.
As religion was a way for us to escape the pain of
Yes.
what we were dealing with. But the problem is when we became free in person, we would remain enslaved in mindset. So we, even in our music, I'm coming up.
Come on the rough side
of the mountain.
Come on, doing my best.
I'm doing my best
to make it in.
Just to make it in. And we shout over that and fall over it as if coming up on the rough side of the mountain is a badge of honor.
Right.
It's not.
Come on.
It is ingrained in our music. It is ingrained in our approach to ministry. I have people who can't go to certain kinds of ministries because they say to me, Doc, I ain't struggling. Listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not struggling. I ain't struggling to pay my bills. I'm not having a hard time making ends meet. And I don't need a preacher telling me that things are going to get better. They're already good.
Right.
So we've got to even shift in our delivery from this whole deficit mindset to teaching people to recondition their minds to understand that they don't have to be victims. You can take control of your destiny by taking control of how you respond, how you engage, how you react to things that happen in your life. And just that simple shift will completely change how you respond in different environments or atmospheres that you're in.
Wow. So we have a question in the chat. It says, with victim being such a place of hurt and despair, why do people play that role? And what is the advantage of playing the hurting role? Like what do people get out of being a victim? I think it's just attention, but you can expound on that.
Well, you put it nicely, nicer than I probably would. I think for some people it is real mental illness. In this work, I am very much aware of the fact that people really are challenged with mental illness.
Yes, sir.
And I think we have to be mindful of that. I had a lady tell me, missionary, older lady tell me, she said, Reverend Doc, you shouldn't be teaching people about mental illness because Jesus cast out all devils when he came back and took the keys from the kingdom. So So I had to show her places in the Bible where Jesus cast out demons, and some of those demons and some of those challenges were of a mental impairment.
Yes.
There's nothing new under the sun, and Solomon made that clear.
Amen. Amen to that.
So mental illness is part of it and is a very real thing for a lot of people. There are some people, though, in my humble opinion, who are riding the mental illness gravy train and calling everything that's challenging a mental problem.
Come on.
And everything that challenges you does not have to be a mental experience.
How do you get someone out of that?
Ma'am?
Seriously.
She said, how do you get someone out of that?
How do you, because people walk around, I know someone who says they're neurodivergent. And as a neurodivergent person, they can't do certain stuff.
Right.
They can't, and I'm like, well, your hand's not broke. But I want to be respectful, right? At the same time. And I can imagine that there are people in the church who say that they have these mental conditions, the bipolar, depression, a lot of things, right? And they do have them. We can't deny that. But how do we support someone who believes or who's been told that they're dealing with this condition? How do we support them?
I think that's amazing. Again, people really are diagnosed with these things, and this discussion could go so far left. I talked with several clients this week, one of which has been medically diagnosed with ADHD and depression, and we had a very serious conversation about medication. My father, Dr. Zebb Jr., is a school superintendent of a school in Martinsville, Virginia. He is the first African-American superintendent of that system, Phi Theta Kappa. He made 1B in college, one of the smartest people I know.
All right now.
He and I had this conversation a lot because as a school superintendent with well over 40 years of experience in education, one of the things we really agree on is the misuse of medication, especially on young people when it comes to mental diseases. In my humble opinion, it is a tragedy to have someone who is 7 years old under so much medication for mental challenges that they can't even think. They're sitting in class, they're stone-faced, they're stonewalled, all because they've been diagnosed with a mental disease. Well, my client did something that was powerful. She had a second opinion. She was diagnosed, had a second opinion, and come to find out that the second therapist was much more thorough and said to her, no, I'm glad you had a second opinion. I wouldn't diagnose you with that, and nor would I give you medication. The first therapist she went to see, she said the exam took maybe 3 minutes. The second therapist, she said it was about a 26 minute examination, which implies to me that the medical industry even is in on the financial gain of extending medication for diseases that oftentimes, while they might be true, can be worked through with some real work and development.
Yes,
absolutely. It's the capitalization of hurt.
Absolutely.
Hurt and pain is a business.
It is.
And you're getting to that very point of folks. Let's set aside from that one doctor who did the drive-by exam and diagnosis,
right?
Because that could be a whole lot of racism and discrimination, a whole lot of underlying things,
a whole lot of other stuff.
Indeed.
But the capitalization of hurt and pain and hurt being an opportunity to have capital gain. But I think I would like for you to expound on, Dr. Zebb, is how do you frame a conversation with those who are opposed to this very point that we're making? How do you get those who heavily believe in, let me take a step back. Somebody said something to me today, and they said that the enemy of familiarity is efficiency. And I was thinking about that. And so when you were talking, I was like, this is all about the efficiency of things, not necessarily because healing work, journey work, that's continual work. People are looking for the quick
fix,
the easy, the efficiency. So when you talk about folks when you talk or encounter people who want the quick and the ready, how do you get them to ponder? Because you have to ponder and stop some of this to allow yourself to breathe, to work through this. How do you pull them through that to get them to understand that your efficiency is not going to get you to your goal, and it's certainly not going to get you to the journey you want?
No, I love that. I think I try to remind them that most of us are victims of today's time. So my PhD research deals with the generation. So millennials, Gen Zs, all of that stuff in the context of leadership identity formation, things like that. And one of the things that we know to be true is that millennials, Gen Zs, boomers, X's, lost generation, none of these generations think the same. None of them have come through the same time, period of time. And none of them have the same identical challenges. This generation, unlike any other, has access to more information.
Absolutely.
Information overload, technology overload. That is a blessing and a curse. They can order dinner from their phone. They also can't sit at a table and have a conversation. It is, you fix one problem, you remind us that we still have others, right?
Yes.
So I try to get this generation, because, and I'll even go further to say this, it's not just an age thing too. I have clients that are considerably older than me, and they struggle even with technology and the challenges that technology in today's time brings about in terms of wanting quick fixes. Hey, they book a session, doc, I need you to help me fix this problem, and I need you to do it in 60 minutes. And that mentality is connected to the day and time that we're in. And what I attempt to do is remind them of how problems were solved 40, 50, 60 years ago.
Wow.
My grandmother had something called an old oven. And when she was living, my father's mother, when she was living, anytime we wanted to warm something up as kids, we were quick to look over the oven and put it in the microwave. And she would say to us, why don't you just cut the oven on? Grandma, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
No, cut the oven on. Give the oven some time to warm up. And take your pizza, put it on a pan, and set it in there and wait about 8-9 minutes. Grandma, by the time we wait on the oven to warm up, that's 12 minutes. By the time we wait on the pizza, that's 7 to 9 minutes. We waited on 20 minutes for something we can get in 90 seconds. She used to tell us, Zebb, you can get it in 90 seconds, but it's going to be chewy, be hard. It's going to be rubbery. It's not going to taste like it was when it was originally made. Or you can put it in the microwave, and when you wait on it and get it, it's going to be done all the way through. Our approach to self-work has to work the same way. Fast processes will get you fast results, but fast results don't always, I like that, Larry, create quality.
That's true.
Most of the things that last take time to develop and form.
So, Dr. Zebb, I believe that we can put that right back to the church, because it's fast too.
Yeah.
You come in, you have your praise and worship, you get the word, you come up for prayer, and you go home. And then they come back, and the same folks that was there last week came up for prayer again. And then next month, the same people that came up for prayer come up for prayer, because they're not getting to the root. And we don't take the time to get to the root.
No, they want the quick fix. They want somebody to do it.
I'm not saying all churches. I'm saying some of them. I'm not going to say all of them. Not my church, But I do think that we don't preach that there is mental health conditions the way we should. We don't talk about it. And there's nothing in the church that's really addressing it so that people can be healed from the root, because many of the conditions that folks are suffering from, it happened in their childhood.
Yeah.
That is so true. That is.
And it's what they're dealing with now are just byproducts of what happened years ago.
Yeah, many churches have become one-dimensional, and I get in trouble when I say this. People think I'm demon possessed when I say stuff like this, but the reality of the matter is many churches have become one-dimensional, and this is why the divorce rate in the church is as high, if not higher, than it is for folks who don't go to church. If you think about 5 areas of wholeness and healness, I created 5 areas of wholeness and healness, and I tell clients, if you work on these 5 areas every week,
Oh yeah, I got my pen. What
and
this is?
if you work on these 5 areas every day of every week for at least 60 to 90 days, you're going to be transforming into a totally different person. The first area is emotional stability. Because the reality of the matter is I can preach to you until you're blue in the face. But if your mindset and your mentality is off, you won't be positioned to receive it. Most people, believers, think, get the Lord, and it'll solve all of this stuff, which is why you have people who shout Sunday, commit suicide on Monday.
You better talk, Dr. Zebb.
So emotional stability has to be first. And we're not going to go to hell for saying that. The second layer is mental stability. Okay, so let's reverse it. Mental stability, emotional stability. So mental stability first, right? Working on our mindset. Emotional stability, working on our emotional maturity. We talk a lot about an intellectual quotient, but we don't talk about emotional maturity, right? It is the ability to be able to listen, to understand, versus listening to hear what we want to hear, to argue, to disagree, etc.
To be contrary.
You can't get beyond what the preacher said because you're offended that he said a word that you didn't like. So even before we develop you spiritually, you've got to show up at the table emotionally mature enough to hear things you don't agree with.
And they don't hear them because they're forming a response before they even hear what you got to say.
And especially the younger generation tell me all the time, Doc, I can't do church anymore because I know they're going to talk about this. I don't want to hear it. And I say to them, we can't develop you spiritually until you form the emotional maturity to hear an opinion or perspective that does not match your own. Where do you go besides church where people refuse to go because they hear something they don't like?
Right.
Church is the only place.
That's a good.
That's a great point.
Because they hear something they don't like. You hear stuff you don't like at work, you keep going. You hear stuff from the doctor you don't like. You go back and pay him more money to hear it again. Church is the only place when we hear things we don't like, we shut down. And that is because believers know how to shout, but they can't take a word that doesn't align with what they like. So when you correct them, they leave.
Just like children. When my children, I want to tell them something, they don't want to hear it. They're like, bye, Mom. See you later.
Bingo. They don't want to hear it. So we've got to develop mentally, emotionally. The third layer is spiritual stability. Right? So when we've gotten your mind and your emotions settled, we need to work on your spiritual stability, right? That's obvious for all of us. The fourth thing is physical stability.
Oh, Lord.
Watch this, because we are great at church.
Help me, Jesus.
Great at programs, but there is no greater place of diabetes and high blood pressure.
Come on here.
In the Black church.
And I can't figure out for the life of me how we got enough God to tell people to stop drinking, smoking, and having sex, and we don't have the same amount of self-control to put down a piece of fried chicken when you're already on blood pressure medication.
Listen, we had a program at church on Saturdays. We brought someone in who goes to our church who is an exercise physiologist. She is good. And I tell you, 3 people showed up in 6 weeks. And I was one of the 3. Nobody came.
They're not coming.
And I was like, this is awesome.
We used to offer it. They're not coming. They're not coming. Now you say we're going to have dinner. We're going to do this. We're going to, have Reverend such come, add a group, folks come. And it's appalling to me that we see everything spiritual development and spiritual growth related, the critical nature of all of that stuff, but we don't see how critical our physical well-being is.
Mhm.
right? So that's the fourth area, right?
Yeah.
The fifth and final area
Mhm.
is financial stability.
Lord.
And I'm not just talking about paying your tithes. I'm talking
That's
about paying your bills.
Paying your
Right
bill.
on.
Come on.
With an
'Cause isn't
S.
it funny? Isn't it funny how at a lot of our churches you see sharp? I was looking at Instagram. Not a lot of nice outfits. I love it. I heart them. I love to see us dressed. Nobody dress like us. Nobody
Right.
dress like us. But the problem I have is this: shouldn't be wearing your savings account. If you can dress however you want to, but if you pay $1,900 for a pair of Gucci shoes, you ought to have 19 in savings to match it.
Absolutely. You should have
Yeah.
Yes.
you should have 3 times.
I got Gucci. I have Gucci, but I got it also in my bank account.
Exactly.
That's called
That's a
financial stability. And we don't teach this stuff. So let's walk through them: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. What does the church focus on? Number 3.
Number 3.
Spiritual. Some financial every now and then. We don't like to exercise unless it's a praise break. Throw number 4 out.
Praise break.
Number 1. We barely touch on number 1, mental, and number 2, emotional. So you have a lot of people, believers, who are strong spiritually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They don't have the communication skills to be able to work through an argument with their spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we have church hurt, because people are coming in, as Michelle said in the beginning, with all of this
Yeah.
impacted in them.
Yeah.
And then they're expecting that a 2-hour service is going to free them, which it can. God can touch anybody. Let's be clear.
Oh,
And
yes.
he can deliver you immediately.
Yes,
But
he can.
everybody's not getting immediate deliverance.
Well, even
But
after God has delivered you, you
Just
still
work.
got to do the work.
You
to
gotta
make
do
you
you gotta
payment.
do the work.
You
But I
gotta maintain it. If God heals you, you get a good report, and you go back and the doctor say, okay, we don't have to get you on these diabetic pills now. You can come off the insulin. What good is it
If you
if you
start
come
eating
off
sugar.
the insulin and then you go right back to eating fried food and eating everything that turns into glucose and
you know what?
all your arteries.
Yep.
Say what, Michelle?
First of all, I said no, you didn't say glucose. But you know what, Dr. Zebb and Nikki and Tamara, I think one thing that just hearing the conversation in this piece in particular, I think the church sometimes make it so cerebral.
Yeah.
You don't trust your instrument that God has given you. You can sense.
Yeah, you should.
And you have to trust.
That's right.
What you feel.
Yes, we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
It has to all connect. I mean, there's so many scriptures in the Bible about the body and paying attention to the body and sensing things and your discernment. You discern that apple pie with that ice cream scoop on it is not it's not going to serve you well, right? So I think there's also this missed message of you got to trust here, but you also got to pay attention to here, because without it, you're going to only be operating in one of those levels, or maybe 2 of those levels. But to have all that 5 function, I mean, you got to have it.
I'm gonna go out here and say that even with those 5 that you're focusing on, it's hard. And I'm just speaking for me. It's hard to focus on all 5 of those at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like you need 90 days to focus on mental. Then you need another 90 days to focus on spiritual. Then you need another 90 days to focus on emotional.
Real.
Then you need another 90 days to focus. So I'm so serious, because there's no way, nobody has all that time, to put into all 5 areas at one time. And you still got to go to work. You still got to raise your children. You still got to
challenge it. I think it's possible.
Uh-oh.
I did it. I lived it.
Okay, well, now tell me how that's possible.
Because I think this is good. Now, let me say this. I don't completely disagree with you at all. You really just proved the point that I think we're all making, and that is it takes time.
It takes time.
Yes.
You don't fix yourself in a day.
Yes.
Jesus can do anything. We believe that, right? But this whole idea that you're going to fix things overnight and not have to sit it in the oven,
right,
and go through a process is something that this generation, this time, has to understand. One of the things that I have my clients do is take those. So number one, physical development, spiritual development should be ongoing, right? You should be exercising multiple times a week. You should be praying and meditating every day. Prayer, conversation with God. Meditation is conversation with yourself. It is sitting down and allowing yourself to slow down your thoughts and just focus and lock in on the present moment. A lot of the clients that I have that deal with anxiety and depression are because their soul still hurt about the past and they're worried about the future. And the Bible says, be anxious for nothing. Right? So that means we have to lock into where we are. Right? Sufficient is the day. If you keep reading, it says sufficient is the day thereof, which means you got to lock into this day and make the most out of this moment. Right? So meditation teaches us how to do that. But if you're working on your spirit and physical every day, then I tell my clients this: let Monday be mental Mondays. Or every single Monday, you say, here are 3 ways I'm going to work on my mental health today. I'm not going to watch more than 30 minutes of television. Right? You let Tuesday be emotional Tuesdays, where you say, on today, I'm going to come up with 3 ways where I can ensure that I'm emotionally stable and mature in whatever setting, right? Horrible example, right? Wednesday can be spiritual Wednesdays. Again, that's something we work on every single day. Thursday, physical Thursdays, right? Where you do something extra special. Maybe you work out every day of the week, but that Thursday, you might do an extra workout, right? Or you might eat extra clean that day, because I believe in cheat days. And I'll talk about my routine in a second. Friday can be Financial Fridays. YouTube has a wealth of information where you go out on YouTube and you learn something about stocks or bonds or something that you're not familiar with as it relates to finances and being in better financial health. If you do that Monday through Friday, work on one thing a day while you sprinkle in every day spiritual and physical, because you're always working on that, to your point, you're going to see some results over a period of time. Now, here's my routine. The problem with us is that we don't have the discipline. We say things like, oh, I got to work, or I got kids, I got this, whatever. Okay, cool. I'm a divorced father of 2, 9 and 10-year-old. They're with me majority of the time. I get up every morning at 4:08 in the morning.
Jesus. Did you say 4:08?
He said
4:08. 4:08. If I get to bed at 1 o'clock at night, because sometimes I'm working that late, I still get up at 4:08 in the morning.
You the head of the line in heaven then, huh?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I gotta skip over some people.
I love Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So when I cheat and get Ben and Jerry's ice cream. But at 4:08 in the morning.
Okay, so help me understand 4:08. I just need to know what's the
number 8 means new beginnings.
Yes.
So a lot of the things that I start when I do TikTok lives, I started at 9:08. You've got hundreds of people on there, and they don't even know why I started at 9:08. They don't realize when we spend 90 minutes together, and I'm teaching them how to develop themselves emotionally, they're starting the change of a new life. Everything I do is intentional.
That's a key too. Everything that you do is intentional.
Intentionality.
That should be on a t-shirt.
Intentionality and discipline matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
matters.
should be intentional.
4:08, I get up. First thing I do is I roll over, I pray. Second thing I do, too much information, I use the restroom. After I use the restroom, I walk out of the restroom. It is dark in my house. It is probably about 4:25-ish. I'm walking down the steps. My kids are asleep. I go to that chair in there. I sit in that chair. I've got a blanket. You've seen some of my videos with this knitted hat that I wear. Older ladies at our church used to make them for homeless people and the elderly. And she allowed me to have some of those. And she used to take it to them, especially to homeless people, to let them know that they had a purpose. And so that hat actually has meaning. Every time I wear it, it is a reminder of my purpose and what I'm called to do.
That's good.
So I sit in that chair. It's dark, pitch dark in this house. I set my timer for 30 minutes and I sit there and I think about nothing, but I'm sitting in this chair. I don't think about the meetings I got. I don't think about if I got to go to the doctor. I don't think about what the kids got going on. They have a lot going on with sports and activities. I don't think about none of this stuff. I sit there for 30 minutes and I say the only thing that matters for 30 minutes is me sitting in this chair. You know what that teaches us to do? when life starts lifing and you got 50 things coming at you at once, it teaches you how to handle things one thing at a time.
It teaches you how to be still.
Yeah.
Bingo. And we're not in this culture still. We like to move.
But I think that's part of the problem with ADHD. I think some of that has been a little bit of that here.
That's why my clients that have it, we talk a lot about a meditation and just sit down somewhere.
Still.
When you can slow life down and just sit down, then all of a sudden things move at a different pace. So I do that 30 minutes. By that time, it's 5:03-ish. I've got it to a science. I've been doing this for years. By 5:08, I've started my workout tape, which is typically anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes. I do beach body. So if you've heard of Insanity, P90X, that kind of stuff, I do that kind of stuff. I love working out at home. So I'll start that tape typically by 10 minutes to 6 o'clock at the latest, I'm done. After that, at 6 o'clock, I make my protein shake. I sit in my kitchen island. I have my journal, and I take 15 minutes to journal every single morning, Monday through Friday. I always start my day writing out 5 things I'm grateful for. I've been doing it for 3.5 years. 5 things I'm grateful for. I write down statements that really affirm how I'm going to attack my day. Today, I'm calm, cool, collected. Nothing shakes me. Everything always works in my favor.
Positive affirmations are amazing.
Absolutely. 15 minutes. When I finish that, I make the kids lunch. My kids are bougie. They don't like eating at school. So I make their lunch. Some days they get gourmet salads. They eat better than I do. They get gourmet salad, make their stuff. By that time,
no ranch.
It's probably about no ranch. No, ain't no ranch in this house. By 6:40-ish, I'm done. I go upstairs. They have their alarm set. They're 9 and 10. They'll set their alarms for 7 o'clock. I jump in the shower and I take a cold shower. Now, there's some science and research behind cold
Trying to keep wrinkles away, huh?
That's the cold shower will help you with
as young
brain
as
cells.
I look. This is why I look as young as I look.
Okay.
Besides having good genes.
You gonna have a whole bunch of cold people tomorrow morning. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm over here. I got a cold.
It works. And let me tell you something. The summertime is easier. Try taking cold showers in December.
Oh my.
But there is science out there that says if you start out with a warm shower and then you switch it to a cold shower, it begins to create new brain cells.
It does.
And that's one of the only out of 3 things that create brain cells is switching from hot to cold, because that jump, that shiver.
If y'all don't believe me, you're absolutely right. If you don't believe me, try it in the morning. Take about 8-10 minutes hot for as long as it takes you to bathe as many times as you do. And then when you finish on the last bathe, rinse off with cold water.
Yes,
I've done that because I saw that in Mommy Dearest. Now I ain't trying to take no from no damn white woman, but
okay, y'all, we got 5 more minutes left.
She had a thing of ice cold water, like what?
I remember that.
And she
run away.
Yeah, in cold water.
Every morning.
No, you're right. It wasn't that movie. It was easy for me because I'm a former athlete. I played basketball and I ran track.
Oh, that
and
makes sense.
We
You
did
use
ice
that
baths like that. We used to.
Yeah.
But it had been years and life had happened. I had kids, things like that. But when I first started it, I went cold turkey because I tend to be an extreme guy. Either I'm going to be all in, or I'm going to be all out. So when I first started taking showers, cold showers, it would be all cold. And I started at like 10-15 minute cold showers. Now I switch from hot to cold for my morning shower, and then my nighttime showers are all hot shower because I'm getting ready for bed. I finished that. By that time, it's 7:05. The kids are up and moving. By 7:30, 7:40-ish, I'm downstairs. They've already ate breakfast. We grab our things. We walk out the door. This is Monday through Friday religiously.
Wow.
So have you used any of your platform to teach this? Because that's a whole journey in and of itself.
Well, I've done a little bit of it on YouTube. I haven't done as well. I haven't done it as much on YouTube as I want to. I'm going to relaunch this. I'm about to relaunch my podcast because of the stuff that's been happening on TikTok and Instagram. But people would be shocked at what routine does.
Come on, Dr. Zebb.
That's my problem. That is my problem.
It makes you intentional.
It's intentional.
That's my problem.
Makes you intentional and keeps you disciplined.
That's
Yes,
my
sir.
husband. He does everything in a routine.
And that's
Now,
the
listen,
and that's
now,
the
here's
my
the flip
detriment.
side.
That is my issue because I don't do everything the same way all the time every day. I
That's
just
And
can't.
there's nothing
I
wrong
just
with that.
don't.
Because here's the flip side. The husband, our danger zone is we need people in our lives to balance us out. Because you can be so routine that you want to do everything routine.
That's my husband, and I'm all over the place. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you don't want to be too extreme with that to not
There
allow
you go.
some
There you go.
spontaneity because we
That's
are
right.
human, right? You don't want
That's
to
right.
be programmed. You want to take the humanness out of
Yeah.
being human, right?
You're absolutely correct. And so I balance it. I work hard, but I tell people, I tell my clients, I tell my friends, my family knows. I work hard, but I play even harder. I
Right
skydived for the first time 2 years ago, and I couldn't tell my mom before I did it. I called my mama when I was in the car. I was out of breath. And she said, boy, what is wrong with you? I said, Mom, you ain't gonna believe what I did. She said, what'd you do? I said, I skydived. She said, I'm gonna kill you. Well, you can't, because I survived, 20,000 feet. I skydive when I vacation, when I go out of the country, when I'm relaxing. I play as hard as I work because
That's
it keeps
good.
me
got balance.
Oh Lord, Dr. Zebb,
been
listen.
so
You need like a part 3 with just Dr. Zebb coming back. Like, you gotta break some of this down, boy.
Yeah, it was good.
We do. I hate that we're out of time. Listen, I want to definitely invite you back. I want you to come back to have another conversation, to continue this conversation.
Yeah.
We are the third Tuesday is when we have My Sister, Your Sister podcast.
Mhm.
So if you can look, we're gonna put you down.
Okay.
For the next third Tuesday
All right.
in the month of June, and we'll come back and continue the conversation.
We'll make it happen.
And just make this happen again, because there's so much more that we could discuss. I mean, we really just scratched surface today. So I really want people to understand that, church hurt is something that we experience, but it's not a place that you have to stay.
No,
You don't have to stay there. Your healing is your responsibility. And you have to do those things that are necessary for you to be healed and to maintain that healing and to go on to wholeness. It's not something that we have to stay in. And so I really, really appreciate you for being with us today. It's been so enlightening. I didn't take notes, but I know everybody else took notes.
Oh yeah, Jackie is full of notes.
And I'm gonna try this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah,
Friday.
I'm gonna give it a
we
shot.
Talk again.
I might do one Monday,
I'm gonna
Wednesday,
be
and
able to tell you
Friday.
something.
I'm just
Now,
gonna
see,
say,
that's not you intentionally doing it 3 days out of the week.
I'm just gonna do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then I'm gonna
Start somewhere, but
gotta
that's
start
important.
somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere.
I'm being real about me. Let me start with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
So I'm not fooling with you. You did give up Fruit Loops, so
I'm challenged, but I'm gonna go something. I'm gonna do something and finish it. I told myself that the month of June is my birthday month, and that I wanted to do something personal in terms of my own personal growth. I want to make a focus in the month of June. So, I want you to try ranch. Okay, I need you to know.
They got an avocado ranch. I think about avocado.
A lady at my church tricked me one time. She made this Alfredo sauce. I don't like Alfredo sauce either. And she made this dish, but the Alfredo sauce wasn't white. It was kind of like a really, really, really dark beige. And she said, "Yeah, Pastor, that's cheese." So I ate it, and it was okay. She told me after it was Alfredo, and I could have strangled her. I was so mad. And that is the only time
You're not healed from that trauma.
I'm not healed at all. Not at all.
We have enjoyed having you today, and definitely we want to have you back. Put it on your calendar right now for the third Tuesday of June, and we will definitely bring you back on to continue this conversation. We love you, audience. We want you to know that God is still in control, and you are still, and He's good. And we want you to know that you can be healed and you can maintain your healing. All you have to do is do the Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So as Dr. Zebb would say, well, you know what? I'll let you close it out. You say what you say, and then I'll let it be closed.
2 jobs. Be better today than what you were yesterday. Don't forget what I told you.
All right,
there
now, thank you so much. We love you, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You've been listening to Soulful Inspiration. We're so
glad you hung out with us today. We're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on WVTC Detroit. If you'd like to partner with us or sponsor a show with your business, send us an email at tntsoulllc@gmail.com, or you can call us at 313-570-8280. I'm your girl,
Nikki Jones.
The views and opinions expressed on the previous broadcast are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WVTC Radio Detroit, its advertisers, or affiliates.
Here's just one of the fine programs right here on WVTC Detroit. Hey y'all, summer is coming. We want to remind you of the WVTC. Wash your hands. Stay updated on your vaccinations. If you got a temperature, get a COVID test and cover your cough. We're on a mission, so don't let COVID stop you. Here's just one of the fine programs right here on WVTC Detroit. We are WVTC Detroit. What it is, we're gospel music, preaching, teaching, inspiration, encouragement, news, and guest interviews. We are what it is. WVTC. We're winning victories. What it is. Through Christ. WVTC Detroit. All up in the community. That's who we are. What it is.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.